Hello, my name is Rick Singer. I'm the Chief Academic Officer of Getting Into College and the CEO and Master Coach of The Key. Over the last 20 some odd years, we've helped tens of thousands of kids get into school of their choice. It's my goal today to teach you how to find the right fit college for you. The process is much more competitive than what I went through, and it is my intention that you will walk away from every one of these videos and have a real good indication of how to play the game. If you have more questions, go to our website, gettingintocollege.com. So let's now talk about Tier 2 and Tier 3 universities and what it takes to get into those schools. We've already talked about Tier 1, and now Tier 2 and Tier 3 students are those kids Tier 2 from a 3.0 to a 3.9 unweighted GPA, and Tier 3 kids are kids from a 2.0 to a 3.0, 2.9 GPA. So you're asking yourself, well, what does it take to get into those schools? And if I go to a Tier 2 or Tier 3 school as far as competitiveness to get in, am I at a disadvantage? Well, let's start off the game really simply. Real simple. We did a survey of 15,000 of our students over the last 15 years. And what we did is we asked 5,000 Tier 3 kids, 5,000 Tier 2 kids, and 5,000 Tier 1 kids in a survey, how happy are they? Because this is all about being happy, loving your life, and doing something you're passionate about. And what we found out in the survey was that after 3 years, the kids that attended a Tier 1 school were a little bit further along in their career and relatively happy, but making some more money. Those kids at Tier 3 or Tier 2 were slightly behind in their ability to move up the ladder. They started at a lower level. Not everybody did, but they started at a lower level and they worked their way up. Well, the reality of that situation was in year 5, the Tier 2 and Tier 3 kids were at the same level of Tier 1. They were as happy or happier, and they loved what they were doing. One of the advantages of going to a Tier 2, Tier 3 school is the kids who go to those schools are usually more well-rounded. They fall on their rear end every day, and they have to get up because they're not perfect like many of those kids going to Tier 1 schools. Frankly, I would much rather be a big fish in a small pond and go to a Tier 2 or Tier 3 school than go to a Tier 1 school and have to work my tail off every minute of the day so that I don't even have fun, but I can go to another school. Let's use for an example, if I went to Indiana University, which is a great school. They're the number 7 business school in the country, and they're a little less competitive to get in. They are considered a Tier 2 school. But I could go to Indiana University and have been a really good high school student with good test scores. Walk into Indiana, if I work hard and work with my teachers, I could get myself a 3.8 GPA, where if I had gone to a UPenn or a Georgetown or a Notre Dame or an Emory or a Duke, and instead of me spending 2 hours a night on homework, I have to spend 4 hours to keep up with the rest of the student population because I may not be as sharp as them, but I'm a hard worker and I get it done. But it takes away from my college life. It's all about enjoying college. So many times it's better to be the big fish in the small pond because at the end of the day, I get great grades, and what happens? I make great relationships and great networks, and I have fun, and I enjoy myself. So let's talk about the criteria to get into Tier 2 and Tier 3 schools. Remember that these schools are looking for super well-rounded kids who are the all-American boy and girl and are going to make a difference the rest of their life. Yes, they fall on their butts every once in a while, but you know what's cool about that? They all get up. It's kind of like playing a sport. You don't win every game, and every day you don't win every battle. But you always get up and you fight the battle true blue every day. So what does it take to get into Tier 2 schools? So what is a Tier 2 school? So for example, those would be places that are public schools like Indiana, the University of Wisconsin, Cal Poly, University of Maryland, Those would be some public schools that you would consider Tier 2. Very, very good schools, but not as quite as competitive as those at the Tier 1 level, right? Private schools that fit into that Tier 2 category. Villanova, George Washington University, Santa Clara University. Those will give you some idea of schools that are, again, great schools, but they're considered Tier 2. So Tier 2 and Tier 3, the criteria to get in is real simple. Number one is your curriculum, your rigor, and your grades. They're looking at your curriculum and grades going hand in hand. Remember that Tier 2 and Tier 3 are looking for the total person. The second most important criteria is your extracurricular activities, your compelling story, your brand, what makes you unique and special. 3 is your SAT and ACT scores. So when you were at Tier 1, you were trying to get 700s and 30s on every one of your ACT and SAT. Now in Tier 2 and Tier 3, the goal is to get at least into the 6s and high 500s on the SAT and in the mid to high 20s on the ACT. Great scores, great students, great people. That's who's going to Tier 2 and Tier 3 schools. The next criteria is your personal statement. So again, you get the opportunity to tell the story of why you're so special. So you take your extracurriculars and now you put it into place into words and you tell a story of your personal statement of why you are somebody that they should take. So we always tell kids when they're writing their personal statement, remember, you're going to write a book, and when we help kids edit and you let your teachers look at your stuff because there's somebody else should be looking at it or your mom and dad, you got to create this from a book into a movie, something that somebody wants to read and is excited to read it from start to finish. So those are the criteria to get in. We have curriculum and grades, we have our extracurriculars, we have our test scores, we have our personal statement. And some schools will ask for recommendations. If it is a recommendation, then you need to make sure that you get to know your teachers well. This is not up to the teachers to get to know you. It's about you getting to know the teachers, and that way they can write a great recommendation for you. So getting into Tier 2 and Tier 3 doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful in life. It just means that you may not start on step 10, you may start on step 6, but there's no doubt you can get to step 10 very quickly because you're a hard worker, you never give up, you fall on your butt every day, and you know what? My guess is you're a better team player than many of those kids that have been perfect all their life going to Tier 1. You're okay. You are absolutely okay. If you have questions about getting into Tier 2 or Tier 3 schools, go to gettingintocollege.com, and we're here for you. Thanks so much, and have a great day.